Well, a few moments ago, the Florida A&M Board of Trustees meeting ended where they were discussing this multi-million-dollar donation from a Gregory Jerell and the Isaac Batterson the Seventh Family Trust. The check presentation took place this weekend where he also was the commencement speaker. It is the largest donation given to Florida A&M and certainly one of the largest to an HBCU in history. The board had an emergency meeting today because there have been so many questions surrounding this particular gift. This here was the video Florida A&M released on social media about this donation. Turn the audio up, please.
And sign this agreement on behalf of Florida A&M University, the Jerell Family Foundation.
The $237 million gift is more than the size of the FAMU endowment value and represents one of the largest single personal donations to a historically Black college and university.
To be able to give back to HBCU at this level is important to me. To be able to choose for our foundation, to be able to choose a university where our legacy will continue and will be the most impactful for generations and generations to come. That is the most important thing to our foundation and us.
President Dr. Larry Robinson says this donation will have a far-reaching impact on the academics and the athletics programs at Florida A&M University.
Well, we are extremely grateful and ecstatic about this game-changing donation to Florida A&M University.
Jerell is the founder of Batterson Farms Corporation and a champion of sustainable agriculture and biodegradable hemp products in Texas. For Florida A&M University, I'm Giovanni Hampton.
All right, folks. Well, after that news came out, it took everyone by surprise. So folks began to ask themselves the question, who is this guy? Who is Gregory Jerell? Well, Jerell Blakeley penned an op-ed in Education Newsflash called "For the Love of Money, Has FAMU Been Fooled?" He's been posting a number of different things on social media about Gregory Jerell, and these are questions that, frankly, were not answered in today's board meeting. Jeremy joins us from Indianapolis. So glad to have joins us from Indianapolis. So Jerell, I listened to about an hour of the board meeting. I had to go live on the show. And so I'm listening to this conversation, and they had the company on that handles investments for Florida A&M, and they were talking about paperwork, things along those lines. So basically, those guys did not vet any of this. And so then I had to jump off right when they had the official on talking about the vetting process and how this Jerell reached out to them, how they began to have conversations with him. He wanted to make a donation to the school. After the Spelman donation was announced, $100 million, they said, well, he wanted to increase his offer. Then they began to talk about this courtship. So basically, let's just, for everybody who doesn't understand, FAMU has not gotten any money. There's actually no money. So this $237 million number that people are hearing, this number, is not a real number. What he has given them is stock certificates in this privately held company where he has assigned the value of these stocks to be $237 million. And what they did was, so he assigned, if I'm correct, a $15.85 price per share, and he's given Florida A&M University 15 million shares in this company. But it's a private company. So the reality is, it's not a publicly traded company right now. So until there's an IPO, or until someone privately buys this company, Florida A&M ain't got no money from this guy, right? Did you hear the same thing that I heard?
Well, first, Brother Roland, thank you for having me on here. I'm really honored to be on here to discuss this very important issue. Today's foundation board meeting at FAMU was a disgrace. And I believe that it was a symbol of institutional failure at Florida A&M University. What we learned today was that the trust contains several million shares of worthless stock. There is no value to Batterson Farms. It doesn't have any land. It doesn't have all of the necessary licenses. It doesn't have any employees. It doesn't have any revenue that would allow it to be evaluated anywhere near $100 million evaluation. And so today's meeting was disturbing, to say the least. The fact that Florida A&M allowed this man to basically con them into accepting worthless shares led the president and leadership to not share this with their board, either the foundation board or the university board, because of a NDA is quite frankly preposterous. For FAMU to basically share that they received a worthless gift. I mean,
Right.
It means nothing. I mean, it's completely.
I mean, just for everybody who's watching. Okay, I own this company. I own Black Star Network 100%. It's a private company. If I right now, I could say, I'm going to gift Texas Southern University, I'm going to gift Paul Quinn College 15 million shares of stock in the Black Star Network. Now, even though I have an actual company, I've got employees, I've got revenue, I can then say, and this is listening to the call, I could say, I am assigning a value of this stock of $15.85 a share. I can just do it on my own. No one, because what happens is, unless there's an IPO, then you can call it whatever you want to call it. That's what this guy has done.
Well, so let me actually.
And then, Jerell, when I was listening, here's what I never heard, and I was waiting on it. Did FAMU leadership ever visit this guy's company? Did they ever visit his office? Did they ever confirm how many employees he has? Go to my iPad. Tallahassee Democrat has this story. Woman listed as co-CEO with FAMU donor says she never worked for him. Kimberly Abbott, who formerly served on the city council in Birmingham, has known Jerami for years, long before the 30-year-old was celebrated for his donation. In an operation that Jerami himself says employs only a few full-time administrators in a workforce of 7,000 contract employees, Abbott was listed as co-CEO and vice chair of Batterson Farms Corporation, where Jerami is CEO. When asked if she worked at Batterson Farms, Abbott said, I never did. Jerell, that's called massive red flag.
So here's the thing, Brother Roland. They didn't even have to visit these places. They could have merely Googled. So when I heard about this sort of gift on Saturday, I just Googled. It took me about 10, 15 minutes to realize that this was a complete hoax. I don't understand how it took me 10 minutes to figure out that this was a hoax. And it took FAMU months of
6 months. They claim it was a vetting process that lasted 6 months.
It took me 15 minutes to realize that this was completely a hoax, which why I was able to write an op-ed so quickly, because it was apparent. And so the fact of the matter is, this is embarrassing, and I feel really bad for a number of reasons. Number one, the students. Those students who graduated from Florida A&M University worked really hard to graduate, and the fact that they had to hear from this flim-flam artist, was actually shocking. I can remember my commencement address speaker. I graduated from Howard University, and we had some really, really esteemed individuals to give the commencement address. The fact that a university like FAMU did not do their due diligence and allowed this man to con them. Listen, president of, what's that?
Well, but for the people who are on the call, here's what's even crazy. They're on the call, they're discussing the donation. I thought I heard this correct, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, where they said some questions came up and they still let them speak. I was listening going, whoa, did I just hear that? They literally said some questions arose, but the president made the decision, yes, let's move forward with him as commencement speaker. I was like...
So let me say this. So let me say this. FAMU deserves better. The fact that this happened is an institutional failure of massive proportions. The fact that this man was vetted or wasn't vetted, and they allowed him to speak is just outrageous. And so, it took me just a few moments to realize that this gentleman was a fraud and a hoax. And so I don't understand how you had an entire university infrastructure. I was listening to the vice president of advancement and the head of the foundation, who actually mentioned that she didn't actually even Google this gentleman, or she didn't do any due diligence. When you look at, it was very easy to figure out that this guy was not kosher. When you look at what he did at Coastal Carolina University, they could literally pick up the phone and call the advancement office to say, hey, what's the deal with someone who is giving this large amount to FAMU? And so overall, I just want to say FAMU deserves so much more. And for folks who think that I'm picking on FAMU, I'm a Howard graduate. If this happened at Howard, I would do the exact same thing. I just think that it speaks to a culture at FAMU's leadership that allows themselves to be conned when they literally could have spent 15 minutes or 10 minutes and realized this was not to be.
I mean, let's be clear.
So,
you pulled us up. First of all, the guy just created a website. I mean, if you do a search, it is as if this guy's a ghost. But when you pull stuff up, and I'm just sort of shaking my head, going, what in the hell were the FAMU folks doing? And of course, the president now says they're putting this thing, on ice. But I'm still I'm still trying to understand some basic things. What does he have a real business? Have you
No.
seen it? Have you been
No.
to the offices?
No.
He supposedly the stocks are in hydroponic and agriculture business. Have you seen any of it? Has anybody with Florida A&M physically said, yes, we visited his corporate office, we saw the farms, we met with workers? On that, everything I heard in that call, nobody ever said that. When I got off after about an hour, did you hear anybody say that?
No. So that is what's actually outrageous. The fact of the matter is you have an advancements office. You have a president. And the fact that the president did not let the board know is malfeasance of a highest level. I can tell you that it's incompetence. And I'll just say this, FAMU deserves better. The fact that an esteemed university that was led by so many great people has fallen to these sort of levels is really a shame. The class of 2024 had a very difficult time. They started college in the middle of a pandemic, and they deserve to have a commencement address speaker. So I'll tell you what, I am willing for nothing. I actually make a donation. I am willing to give a commencement address at Florida A&M University so that they can hear from someone who basically did more work to uncover this than the university that they were educated at.
I mean, hell, I spoke Saturday at Wilberforce graduation, and I've done Stillman, South Carolina State, Lane. I got a real resume. This dude ain't got no resume. I mean, this Batterson Farms, the Seventh, the Family Trust, all this stuff sounds great, and it's just like, what are y'all talking about?
I'm going to say this. If you are familiar with New Jack City, there's a scene when Nino Brown is in the boardroom where he's going around saying, nobody know nothing. I mean, the fact of the matter is how this could happen is an institutional disgrace. And I'm not picking on FAMU. The fact of the matter is It doesn't take a PhD in nuclear chemistry like the president of the university has to figure this out. It took me 15 minutes. And I can tell you that I appreciate some of the phone calls that I've gotten from the Rattler Nation thanking me for this, but I can also say that I was a little disturbed by some of the social media venom from some rattlers who.
Oh man, they were dogging you, bro. Mind your own. First of all, listen. Let's just be real frank. Let's be like, where'd you go to college?
I went to Howard University.
Okay, all right. So you went to HBCU. Listen, I went to Texas A&M, and HBCU folk are protective about their individual school and HBCUs as opposed to let's deal with the truth. And there were people who were attacking you, they were attacking others, as opposed to finding out the truth. And you've been posting a number of different stuff like, is this the house he live in? Is this the farm? I think you posted one item where he supposedly said he bought some farm or something and the property is still not sold. The thing never went through. I saw one story where he reached out to the University of Texas and they basically laughed at his ass. He called the University of Texas to try to give some money, and the University of Texas essentially laughed at him and hung up. But he's supposedly based in Texas. Bruh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll just reiterate. FAMU deserves better. This is, in the board meeting today was an embarrassment.
You tweeted a tie for an audit is nasty work. Well, explain that. What happened?
Well, what happened is one of the board members was suggesting that they do an audit to evaluate how they got here. And it was a tie for like 10 minutes. And someone texted no, which broke the tie. Then there was another motion for another sort of audit, and it passed. But the fact of the matter is, the fact that FAMU board and the president allow that board to go out in public like that and represent the university like that is shameful. I work in nonprofit management. That's what I do for a living. I'm a manager in a educational nonprofit. If I embarrass my board like that, I wouldn't have a job. And I can tell you that if everybody just goes along like this is no big deal, the fact of the matter is this university trumpeted in a consistent way the fact that they got $250 million when they really received nothing. So there has to be some consequence for folks who allow this to happen.
They got sheets of paper. Let's go to my panel. Greg Carr, you first. You on mute, Greg.
Thank you, Roland.
There you go.
And it's good to see you, Brother Jerell.
Yeah, I used to be a student of Dr. Carr, by the way. I took class with Dr. Carr at Howard.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. It's good to see you, brother. And it's good to see you continuing the great work that I encountered when you were at the university, man. It's good to see you in that regard. My question has to do with, I guess I could frame it by saying we don't have all the facts. I mean, we can certainly last things circumstantial. What would your best advice be to Florida A&M or any black institution for that matter who finds itself in a situation where they have received at least the promise of a gift like this, and now everybody is basically deciding that there is no gift, there is no money? I mean, what would you suggest to be their best course of action at this point until the facts come out? Because we know the facts have not yet been established.
Well, first I'll say, Dr. Carr, that some of the facts are out. So we do know that the family trust consists of 15 million shares of Batterson Farms. We do know that Batterson Farms doesn't have the licenses required to grow hemp, does not have any employees, does not have any properties. And so we know that just because you say a company is worth $1 billion doesn't make it so. And so, I mean, I think it's important to deal with that. But on the second level, and then also there's just some questions, and I think research and articles have proven that Mr. Germany is not who he says he is, or he doesn't have the personal wealth that he has. So those are two facts that I think are important to consider. To your second part of your question about what advice I would have, I would give them the same advice that I would give any institution: to do their due diligence, to ensure that they're doing the proper sort of research and vetting to ensure that something like this could never happen. Quite frankly, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that this was a situation that was not real.
Well, here's a perfect example. Jerell, hold on one second. Jerell, hold on. This is from the Tallahassee. Again, this is the deal. In a media availability arranged by FAMU Monday, Jerome told the Tallahassee Democrat that Abbott, quote, left us maybe about a couple of months, maybe about a month ago. She has more of an advisor role right now. She had some health issues. When asked later whether he would be surprised to hear Abbott said she was never an employee of Batterson Farms and never received any compensation as an employee, Jerome said, quote, nothing surprises me anymore. He described her duties as co-CEO as really just there to guide and give more advice, and she didn't do as much work as others in the company. Her compensation, he said, was given through penny stocks. Now, right there. So what people need to understand, Jerell, we talk about penny stocks. First of all, penny stocks are publicly traded companies. So I think what people don't realize is I can right now go out and I can go buy a shell company. I can go buy and create a publicly traded company, and I can be trading on with penny stocks. This article right here shows you how he gets caught in a lie. So if you paid her through penny stocks, what was the publicly traded company? What were the stocks? This woman is listed as co-CEO. She now says, I never served as CEO of the company. Hello, that's red flag. And so what I don't understand is how did the FAMU board today not vote to call for an extensive examination and investigation and literally track these things down? By the way, according to the same story, there was supposed to be a meeting on Wednesday. You see it right here. On Wednesday, a FAMU spokesperson invited the Tallahassee Democrat to meet with Jerome and officials of the university's foundation office, but moments before it was scheduled to begin, a FAMU official said it was canceled because, quote, something came up, unquote. He said any future interview, quote, was unpaused. I'm sorry, that's a joke.
Yeah, and I do want to say this. So I want to answer the second part of Brother Carr's, which is like an alpha sort of meeting here.
Well, that's how it always happens, but go ahead.
Absolutely. So I will say this to Dr. Carr's point. It's important to do your due diligence, and it's also important to inform your board. I think that is a massive failure on this part. The fact that the foundation board and the university board was not informed is a failure of just massive proportions. The fact that the president is saying that they couldn't tell their board because they had an NDA is crazy. The fact of the matter is the president is an employee of the board.
Yeah.
So that's just pure board governance and just pure, organizational governance. And the fact that he thought it was appropriate to say, hey, we couldn't tell you because we had an NDA. You can't do anything.
And
your board
you are a state institution. And so even though you are Florida A&M and you signed a NDA, somebody in the state of Florida has the authority to review the NDA. You're a state institution. You can't just hide behind an NDA.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this again, and it's really important. This did not take a lot of work, right? Like, I knew immediately that this was bizarre. And within 15 minutes, I realized it was completely a joke.
Right here. When contacted by the Tallahassee Democrat, the head of the Texas Hemp Growers Association said he had not heard of Batterson Farms Corporation or Jerome. Now, if you're supposed to be a big-time hemp grower, the Texas Hemp Grower Association might know who you are.
So let me say this. I think Jerami has some challenges that I hope he gets help for. I don't necessarily blame Jerami because it's obvious that he needs help.
Right.
Who I do blame is the university that allowed themselves to be a pawn.
Yep.
The fact that they didn't do their due diligence and allowed this man to give a commencement address. That, for me, speaks to massive institutional failures that has to change. FAMU deserves better.
And not only that,
you don't deserve this.
Not only that, Kim Godwin, who at the time was the president of ABC News, of course, was out the next day, sent 2 camera crews to the graduation to cover it. Reese, go.
Mr. Blakeley, thank you for being here. I think it's strange that FAMU did less due diligence than Risa Tisa did in Who the F Did I Marry on TikTok. But thanks to and part of your voice around this has brought attention to a very bizarre and strange scam, it appears. I just want to get your thoughts on the layer of protection and the defensiveness people seem to have around you specifically calling this out for it seemed pretty outrageous from the start, and people's willingness to call themselves digging up dirt on you as opposed to focusing on the issue at hand, which is it looked like FAMU was being scammed. And have you gotten any retractions or apologies for the people who were dragging you on the social media about this?
Well, I'll just say that people are kind of quiet. I haven't really heard anything recently since the board meeting because it turns out I was 100% right. I don't purport to be perfect. I'm not purporting to be a saint. I've done things that I've regretted. But quite frankly, this isn't about me. And folks are engaging in ad hominem attacks. Don't make the story about me. Make the story about what I'm saying about FAMU. And so it doesn't matter who I call what or what I did when I was an elected official. That's in the past. I've moved on. The fact of the matter is I should not have had to say this. This should have been something that should have been captured months ago. The fact that this gentleman gave a commencement address and the fact that they didn't do their due diligence is the reason why they're here. It's not, in fact, it should have been someone at FAMU. It should have been someone in the audience that said, yo, this meeting, this commencement address is strange. Who's this guy? But the fact that the entire academic hierarchy at FAMU, folks with PhDs, law degrees, JDs, PhDs, MBAs, allowed themselves to allow this man to present a worthless check on the stage of FAMU's graduation and have Charlie Wilson's I'm Blessed and the OJ's For the Love of Money playing is shameful. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. And the fact that they allow that to happen is the story, not who I called what when I was an elected official.
Lauren?
Jerell, is there any possibility that FAMU had some sort of Mackenzie Scott fever and thought that this was real? Have they ever gotten another donation that was even close to this type of donation?
Well, I'll say that's a really good question. And so, the fact of the matter is HBCUs deserve this kind of money, and it's unfortunate that they don't get this kind of money. The highest contribution to a historically black college was a recent donation to Spelman College by the Stryker family of $100 million, which is the largest contribution to a historically black college ever. Compare that to Michael Bloomberg's philanthropy towards Johns Hopkins, where he has donated $3.5 billion to one university. That $3.5 billion is more than all of the HBCU's endowments combined. And so I think, there's a desire. I can understand why one official was crying, because this type of investment would have been very transformational for Florida A&M University and other universities of similar stature. However, just because we want something to be true doesn't mean that it is. And it's incumbent upon the people who are paid to represent the university and to do their due diligence to do the right thing. And so I know that, for example, these types of investments just don't fall from the sky. For example, the Stryker endowment that was given to the Spelman College, that Stryker has been on the board for 30 years, and they have given countless money before that $100 million donation. And so for FAMU to think that someone was going to basically walk off the street and say, hey, I'm going to give you $250 million, particularly when that person has no track record, you never heard of them before, speaks to a level of gullibility that is actually breathtaking and really, really shameful. If I was a board member next week when the full board convenes, I'd be wanting some answers. And if I didn't get any legitimate answers, I'd be telling folks, we'll send your box in the mail, go home and do something else with your career. This is a very big deal. The fact of the matter is, this is an institutional failure of huge proportions, and multiple people failed the university and failed the students by not doing their due diligence.
So let me say this here again. What was said on the call today, which was stunning, was that this guy called out of the blue. He just called the office one day saying, I want to make a gift. And they begin to have different conversations about different gifts. And you heard Jerell mention the $100 million to Spelman. On the Zoom call today, they said that after the Spelman College donation was announced, Jerami came back and said, I want to increase my gift to exceed the Spelman donation. And they went, yay! This is absolutely insane. Lauren?
No, I didn't have anything else. Thanks.
Well, Jerell, so what? So this was the foundation meeting today. What's next week? An actual Board of Trustees meeting?
Yeah, I believe it's an actual Board of Trustee meeting. I think an outcome of the foundation board meeting, the president, Robinson, mentioned that the sort of gift is on hold, right? Which is another example, because the gift was never on. So how can it be on hold if it was never on? I think that the board meeting was outrageous. The fact that people just didn't fall on their sword, or people just didn't say, hey, we messed up. I just think really speaks to a culture. Listen, if Dr. Robinson has a job next week, I'd be shocked. Like I couldn't imagine. Put it like this: if Dr. Robinson is able to survive this, the problems at FAMU are a lot more intense than even this situation would imply.
We shall see what happens next. Jerell Blakeley, thanks a lot.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.